Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is show you the collie, some of the single stick collie techniques that we're working on. One of our flows is that we're working right now in class is called Sabayan. Sabayan means to draw or at the same time. So your movement has to be simultaneous. The same time he thrusts to me, I have to thrust to him. So it's at the same time, draw or at the same time. That's what Sabayan means. So we're going to start at the beginning. And we're going to show you the flow that we're working on right now in class, which is a technique called Pasanud. And this is where we're going to strike to the outside of the wrist and then parry the hand. Okay, it is actually the second one in the series that we do with Sabayan right now. So starting with the flow, we're going to show you how that flow works first. Then we'll come back and show you Palipas, Pasugat, Pawitick, and Pasakay. All right. So starting with the flow we're doing in class, he's going to thrust to me. As he thrusts to me, I'm going to deflect out. Okay, so that hand is going to come down. I leave my hand open, stay more relaxed. So I thrust out. All right, not way out here, just down and deflect it so that the stick goes beside me instead of hitting me. So he goes to thrust, I go down. As I go down, I thrust to him. Now when you're training in class, I don't want you getting that close to the chin. All right, but that's what you're doing. You're hitting here, boom, as he's thrusting. So in class, we just want to thrust over the shoulder, here. All right, so draw to draw at the same time. He goes, I go. Now, when I do this, learn to keep your sticks in place until it's time to move. So when I do this, I'm going to feed the hand high. Now, notice I didn't say strike. I'm feeding the hand high. So what I'm doing is when I go thrust and I block, I feed the hand high so that he will try to block it. That's the whole point. I want to draw his hand up high. So I'm feeding that stick high, causing him to want to block with the free hand. As I do that, my hand is going to stay as he draws back his stick to hit, because that's the only free hand at the moment. So as he draws back to hit, that's when I'm going to retract the stick back just a little bit, bringing the end of the stick to his outside of his wrist. As I do that, I'm just going to slide down, all right, like this. So I hit and slide down. As I do, the other hand is going to come to the outside and parry the hand down. Okay? Now, listen, the goal is not for me to try to parry the hand while my stick is still on his wrist. I don't want to do this and try to catch the stick too. That's not what I'm doing. So again, he thrusts, I thrust over the shoulder. Then I feed the hand high, and he needs to block it with a palm block, just like he's saying stop. Okay? So I feed it high. As he draws back to strike, I retract the stick back, come to the wrist, and I'm going to slide it down. As I do, I parry with the other hand. When I parry with the other hand, I'm drawing my stick back to my hip against my side so that I can now thrust to him. So I thrust and he goes draw to draw. He feeds the stick high, I stop it. Stay on my hand. I stop it. When he sees me draw the stick back, he'll retract his hand back, come to the wrist slowly, and then parry with the other hand. As he parries, he will thrust. I will move that leg back now. Okay, once we get the flow down, we can work our footwork. So I'll move that leg back as I block and thrust, of course, simultaneous. Now, when I do that, I feed the hand high again. He draws back. I go to the outside of the wrist, slide down as I parry. Then I thrust. He feeds the stick high. I draw back. He comes down, he thrusts. I move that leg out of the way so he doesn't get my leg. So I thrust and move the leg. Feed the stick high. Switch my leg as I use the stick. And then parry. Then I thrust. One. He feeds the stick high. And now we have our flow. This is actually called Pasanud. And this is where I'm passing the hand on the outside. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to show you the other variations. Okay, Palipas, Pawitick, Pasugat, Pasakay. I'm going to show you all of those. What we just did was Pasanud. So now Palipas, what that is to parry. So when he thrusts, it all starts the same. He thrusts, I feed the hand high. But now instead of coming to the wrist, I'm going to come to the stomach. Okay, so when I feed the hand high, he draws back. Now instead of going to the wrist, I'm going to go to the stomach and parry the hand, then feed to him. Draw back, he goes to the stomach as he parries the hand. Same thing as Pasanud, we're just going to the stomach versus the wrist. Alright, so everybody understand that now. Now, the next one would be Pasanud, the one we just did where you go to the wrist. Then the third one would be Pasugat. Pasugat, you're going to go to the inside, much like Sagang Labo, the way you start that setup. So if you strike down, in Sagang Labo, we go to the outside, 1, 2, like that. Pasugat is pretty much just like that. So as he thrusts to the stomach, I'm going to go draw to draw, just like we talked about earlier. Feed the stick high. As he goes to draw back, the hand is going to come up in front of my stick and trade places. This hand is going to go high and block 1. The stick should come from the bottom to the outside and parry. He feeds high, I draw back, the hand comes through, he goes to the inside 1, outside stick, and then parry the hand. Again, he thrusts, that leg goes back as I thrust. I feed the hand high. As I feed the hand high, he goes to strike. I don't want to use the stick first, so I feed high. I'm going to make this hand come up between my body and the stick. Up, and the stick is going to come under. Okay, as I do that, I come to the wrist, 1. Then the stick is going to come through, just as if it were doing Sagang Labo. The stick is going to come through. As I begin to slide down, I parry, switch the leg, and thrust. He feeds. He comes to the inside, 1, stick on the outside, 2, parry with the left hand, 3. Thrust, feed high, he draws back, I swap. The stick is on the bottom now, my left hand is on the inside. Inside with the left hand, go outside with the stick. As I slide down, I parry with the left. 1, 2. Okay, so now you see that flow. The next one's called Pawitick. Okay, Pawitick has to do with a fake, more or less. So I'm giving a quick fake and then striking. Okay, so you'll learn a Pawitick where in class we practice doing Pawiticks where we go 1, 2. All right, or we go to the other side, 1, 2. So I fake quick or deflect or block, 1, 2, and turn to the other side. So quick, fake, and flip the wrist, 1. Or I go 1 to this side and Pawitick. All right, this particular Pawitick is going to be to the top of the head or to the stick. So on this one, he's going to thrust. As he thrusts, and I thrust. Feed high. As he draws back, I'm going to go to the inside just like Pasugat. But when I go to the inside this time, I'm going to Pawitick. So the stick is under, instead of coming into the wrist, I'm going to hit the stick back this way. Just flip the wrist, pop. As I Pawitick, I come back, parry, and start over. 1, 2, Pawitick. 1, 2. Hand comes to the inside, just like Pasugat. Inside, Pawitick. As I Pawitick, I come back through. Following the same parry as before. Alright. So, Pawitick. Now the last one is Pasakay, which Pasakay means to ride. Or the ride. So this is basically, it's Sagang Labo. The easiest way to put it. So when he starts this one, as he thrusts, I thrust and block. Deflect and thrust. Simultaneous. Remember that. Very important. So as I feed high and he draws back, now when I come up to here, like Pasugat and Pawitick, now instead of doing the Pawitick or the Pasugat where I come to the outside, now I'm going to actually go to Sagang Labo. Okay, just like you guys practice in class. So again, he starts with a thrust, draw to draw, I feed high, he draws back, I come in for Sagang Labo, which is also referred to as Pasakay. Okay? Now, the fun part of this is when you get to Pasakay, now you got to bring it back to your flow, to Palipas, Pasanud, Pasugat, Pawitick. Bring it back to your flow. So when we're doing this thrust, and I go one, and I start Sagang Labo. At any point, when I'm ready to bring it back, I can do Palipas, for example. So when he draws back, I pass this time. Instead of doing Sagang Labo again, as he draws back, I pass and come back to Palipas. Okay? Now, at this point, you can flow back into any of the ones we went over. So, quick review. Palipas, when he does Palipas, it is wrist and stomach. I'm going here, stomach, body first, then parry. Okay? Pawitick, when he draws back. I'm sorry, not Pawitick, but Pasanud, when he draws back. As he draws back, I'm coming to the outside with the stick, and then parrying. When we do Pasugat, I'm going to the inside with the hand first, then I'm coming to the outside with the stick, and then I'm finishing with the parry. Pawitick, going to the inside again, and instead of the stick coming here, I'm going to Pawitick. Then I come back to the outside and parry. And then of course Pasakay being the ride, so as he draws back, I go to the inside and set the Sagang Labo. At any point during the Sagang Labo or Pasakay, I can bring that back out to any one of those techniques. So we did Palipas, so I can bring it back out if I want to Pasanud. Okay? Or Pasugat. Okay? So remember guys, when y'all are practicing these, we want to make sure a couple things. A, when he thrusts, it's draw to draw. And that left leg needs to be back out of the way. So when he thrusts, I move the leg back as I deflect and I thrust, feet high, and then go from here is where you go into any of your techniques. So just stay right here, sir. It's going to be here to Palipas, body, parry. Okay, remember parry down and then you thrust. Okay? And then the next one is Pasanud. So when he draws that hand back after I feed high, he draws the hand back. I come to the outside of the stick and parry. Pasugat, I come to the inside of the stick. Okay, inside of the stick, or to his arm, and then my stick goes to the outside. Parry and thrust. Pawitick, I come to the inside. Pawitick, come back outside and parry. Then of course the last one being the Pasakay, he draws back and I go to the Sagang Labo flow. Okay? Alright guys, I hope that helps you. That's Sabayan, which means draw to draw or at the same time. Alright guys, have a good day.